Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, back with another edition of Jason and the Gentleman. And joining me, as always, to do this show is the gentleman of mixed martial arts, the gentleman Josh Hill, who he may be a little under the weather, but he can make time for all of us here on this show. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just yeah, it's just the flu or whatever. I get not the flu. I guess it's a sinus infection. Just running through the house and yeah, not feeling the greatest. But we're good, man. I'm drinking my lemon tea and getting it out of my system.
Lemon tea cures all, especially for those kind of sinus issues that you have. It's the same with the Fisherman's Friends, because
Oh yeah,
the original Fisherman Friends are some of the most disgusting products ever created, but they do the job.
I kind of like them.
Really, the
Yeah,
originals.
the originals. Yeah, I don't know why. I know they taste kind of weird, but I don't know.
I popped one for the hockey game I did the other day, and it lasted just the whole first period, and
Yeah,
it was like, this is gross, but I mean, it's getting the job done.
opens you up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
usually chew one of those, suck on one of those before fights.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate that you're under the weather right now, Josh, but we were off last week due to the Canadian Thanksgiving. And how was your Thanksgiving with the family? Hopefully, lots of time spent together and eating lots of turkey.
Yeah, it was good, minus the fact that my daughter was sick. Like I said, it's kind of passed. So with my daughter first, and then my wife, not me. But yeah, other than that, man, it was good. Yeah, we had family dinner and whatnot. It wasn't a huge thing, like sometimes it is in the past, but it was good, man. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? Can't complain. Had some family over here on the Saturday. Spent Thanksgiving with my parents and my father-in-law, and then just used the Monday as a much relaxed, chill day, and ate some leftover turkey. So
Nice.
uh, that's the best, pretty much way you can look at it. But in that time off, though, Josh, I mean, so much has happened in the realm of mixed martial arts. We've had
Yeah,
two events for the UFC happen. Bellator had a pretty big event last Friday, and then of course
yeah,
this weekend they have one of their biggest shows of the year with their debut in Russia and the return
yeah.
of Fedor. I mean, we can start with the Bellator show, because
Sure.
they went head to head with the UFC, where the second time they've done that this year. And I thought Bellator had the much better card, especially with the focal point on their light heavyweight Grand Prix. And all in all, like, their co-mains and mains, I think, really delivered for the promotion, especially the Corey Anderson fight,
Yeah.
where that was his breakthrough moment to me. This is a guy that said how much Bellator has given him a new life, and that's the best I've seen Corey Anderson look in his entire mixed martial arts career.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's that fight was kind of like who's going to take who down first, maybe, or would the wrestling cancel each other out and it'd be a striking match, right?
Yeah.
But I knew in that the first exchange that they had, I'm like, oh man, I think Blader's going to get clipped here. Just like the reaction, the way they were going, I'm like, and then Corey tagged him and dropped him, and then just relentless, nonstop mauling. Didn't even give him a second to breathe, and got the TKO. So yeah, man, he's done well. And a lot of people I know, they're like, oh yeah, he wasn't a top five guy in the UFC, and he goes over there, and he's winning, but he was a top five guy there, and does have wins over the current champ. Also, the current champ has a win over him as well. And also a win over Glover, I believe, too. Like, so he is up there. He is one of the top five guys in the world for sure, no matter what promotion. But yeah, he's looking good, man.
Yeah, he's just looked like he's just found that confidence
Yeah,
that you always are searching for, where he can finally let loose, let his hands go, and just trust what he does every time he steps in the cage. And I think his Bellator run's been very impressive, and people can say what they want to say, but that division as a whole in MMA, I think, is wide open for who's the
yeah,
top guy in the sport. Because while Jan, obviously, he won the championship in dramatic fashion by beating Dominic Reyes, his only title defense is against Izzy, who just went up a weight class and proved he was too small for 205. And I know he has a fight in a couple weeks, but you could definitely, to me, make the case that it's either Corey Anderson as the best light heavyweight in the world, or Vadim Nemkov.
yeah, for sure he can. And Nemkov, man, I'd probably have him as my number one right now, to be honest. Um, there's some good guys like Jan's good. Don't get me wrong, but I just see Nemkov as like the next generation Russian, and somebody that can move so well for a light heavyweight. You know what I mean? And deal with adversity. You know what I mean? And that talking about his fight when he fought Angelicus, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
And he got cracked. And kind of put him on the knee, and he dealt with it. And I was like, oh shit, man, maybe this is gonna be a huge upset here. But he dealt with it. And then right after that, it was just dominance until the finish, right? So, he's good.
He's very good because the ability to get cracked, and he definitely got Angelicus got the attention there of Nemkov, but
Right.
to be able to get your bearings back, change levels, and then just control the fight and realize I'm not going to get the knockout. I got to go ground and pound or try to get a submission. Just shows how of a solid fight IQ he has, and that how quickly he knew he had to change the game plan up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, he's very, very smart in there. He's just not just a brawler, not just a wrestler. With John Jones moving up to the heavyweight and DC retiring, it kind of just opened up that whole division, really. And I think, those are the two of the top guys that are, right there. And man, in fact, they got a good light heavyweight division over there.
I think this is the past couple Bellator shows have really shown just how good the light heavyweight division is in Bellator. We all know how deep the 135-pound division, obviously with you being a part of it, but I think Bellator really should keep getting the flags out and marketing the light heavyweights, because obviously you have Nemkov, you have Corey Anderson, but I mean, Phil Davis had a career-defining win against Yoel Romero. You still have Yoel Romero out there, and a guy on that prelims, the final prelims, Carl Albrechtsen from Sweden, who is the last guy to beat Vadim Nemkov back in Ryzen. Like, you have a lot of Europeans coming in, but the depth and the talent at 205 in Bellator is just really impressive.
Yeah, and you still got Rumble,
Yeah, you got Rumble, when he gets healthy.
Angelicus, that guy, showed that he can definitely hang with the top, the champion for at least a round anyway. And so he's definitely up there. So they have a pretty deep division, man, which is nice. And Bader still there. It's nice to see that, because light heavyweight at one time was a deep
division in MMA.
Yeah, and it kind of faded a little bit there, and it was just kind of Jones took it over in DC, and those were really the only, and Gustafson, I guess, at one point, but then it just kind of opened up a little bit. Now we're seeing it kind of shift again.
Yeah, and I think, as we said, Bellator's got so much talent. Like, that final prelim with Carl Albrechtsen there was just such a great back and forth fight with Albrechtsen and Doval Dahazan Yagshimuradov. Like, just good back and forth fight. Good back and forth fight, and showing Bellator's not afraid to scour the globe to get top guys in their promotion. And I mean, for a guy like Albrechtsen, who has been in Bellator, but I guess because of the pandemic, they let him fight in some of these promotions in Sweden.
Yeah.
Good on Bellator for doing that. A lot of promotions wouldn't be there. Be like, sorry, you're going to have to figure it out and find a way to get on one of our cards. But Bellator let him go have, 2 fights in his home country.
Yeah, and they've done that before. I guess in some instances with this whole pandemic, guys can't fight over here. They can't come over there because they're stuck in this country or whatnot. You know what I mean? So they do, they could just say, no, you're not fighting until either your contract's up or we can get you a fight. But no, that's pretty cool to let them go out fight elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they see something in Albrechtsen to keep him fresh enough and keep improving his skill set. So when he can return to a Bellator on the stateside, he can. I mean, and Carl Albrechtsen also had like the worst debut opponent of anyone I think I can think of in a major promotion. It's like, welcome to Bellator. You're fighting Phil Davis, who I think at the time was coming off being a champion or on the verge of becoming a champion. So, I mean, a tough test in there, but has since really found the waters there in Bellator, and just another big key in the cog of how deep the Bellator light heavyweight division is. But this card also, Josh, featured a very important bout at 155 pounds in the lightweight division with Brett Primus taking on Benson Henderson, which was a real good competitive fight and probably now a number one contender fight since Patricky Pitbull has given up the lightweight championship, and his brother Patricio is going to take on Peter Queally in a couple weeks in Ireland for now that lightweight championship.
Reverse that. Patricky.
Yeah, reverse the
Yeah, both pit bulls, the bigger pit bull. Yeah, man. So obviously, him giving that up, that to me, that just means he's looking just for the rematch with McGee at 45, I would imagine. Anyway, and yeah, or just now he's like, here, brother, take this. Here's your chance to take this belt. Primus, man, look good. I've only got to see, I think, 2 other ones of his fights, and the one was the Chandler one with the leg.
Yeah, where he won the title.
He won the title, but everyone was like, oh, it was kind of, he won, but it wasn't like the way he wanted to really. But yeah, man, he looked really good. Really good. I was very, very impressed. All over the place. His grappling looked great, striking looked great, and his pressure and Henderson, he's just so dynamic and durable. But yeah, that was a good fight. Very entertaining, back and forth, and a good win for Primus.
It's the best win for Primus. Obviously, he as we just said, he won the lightweight title, but in such controversial or unfortunate fashion where Chandler got injured and people dogged him. He's not the real champion. And then when they had the rematch, kind of Chandler mopped the floor with Primus, but Primus learned from that. But in that fight, I thought Henderson himself, he showed signs of WEC Benson Henderson, where he was able to get his hands, just proving how durable Henderson still is on the ground. You can't really submit him. You can't knock him out except for the few occasions that it's happened in his career. But he looked really good, and I think that's why that adds to this. But what do you think about the whole now situation here at lightweight? Because both Primus and Henderson coming into this fight thought that they should have just been given the number one contendership fight and not having it be rewarded to Patricio's brother here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess Primus right now is the number one contender for sure.
Has to be.
Yeah, so he'll fight the winner of either of those 2 guys. I don't know what. Maybe they just wanted, I don't know. But they wanted to have a title fight in Ireland, maybe. You know what I mean, or something like that. I don't know. Queally's been, back and forth. I think. Well, I don't know what his record is right now, but I've seen him take good wins and some losses too. So he's had a roller coaster. But I know he's a big draw out there, in Ireland. So that also might be the big factor.
Yeah, Peter Queally is on a 2-fight win streak in Bellator with a second round finish over Ryan Scope, and then the controversial Dr. Stop Cut It victory over Patricky. And now we're having the rematch here for the vacant championship in about 2-3 weeks' time in Ireland on a Friday afternoon here in North America. So, I mean, obviously Bellator wants to add something special for a market that they've been really loyal to and has been loyal to them back. Obviously, we have James Gallagher and Patchy Mix there. So that's now been flipped because I know Gallagher, I believe, was supposed to be the main event, but now I guess.
Title fight,
Yeah. So
I mean, I think, like you said, the Ireland fans, they haven't been there in a while with the pandemic. It's been over a year. So, just giving them something else,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting situation. And then, since we've had the time off, I mean, Scott Coker made so many announcements about what's happening here with Bellator. Obviously, we know Cyborg's going to be defending her championship in a few weeks as well, November 12th, against another Irish woman this time in Sinead Kavanagh. So, I mean, that's good. But then they've also announced that going into 2022, all main events are 5 rounds.
Yeah, there you go. I think it was the whole Romero thing, and then also the what fight was
it? Was the rematch there with MVP and and Lima,
or people just wanted 2 more rounds, to see what would happen. So yeah, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how the mindset changes on that, because I was so old school when UFC first started doing it. I want only title fights to be there, but now you kind of want these main events to. Their main event, they deserve to maybe go 2 extra rounds, especially that second Lima MVP fight where I think it really needed the extra 2 rounds.
Right. I don't know. I guess I agree with what you said. It's kind of like I feel like it only should be for championship fights. You know what I mean? Because those are the championship rounds.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm like, just you gotta change the whole round system up. 1 10-minute round. That's your fight. And then if it's a draw, sudden death, and that's it. And then don't have to worry about winning rounds and whatnot. You gotta win the fight in its entirety.
That'd be interesting. I know, obviously, that's how Pride used to be, right? Like round 1 was 10, and then the second round was 5.
Yeah.
If you made it to that point, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, we know kind of the round system that translation from boxing to MMA never really.
Yeah.
It's there, and it's fine, but there's got to be other ways. But I mean, if you're gonna just make main events across the board for pretty much every promotion, 5-5s, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I guess it might suck for a fighter that is like I'm trying to think of somebody that like a Melvin Manhoof, where the first round is insane bonkers, but as the fight goes on, he tends to dwindle. But you know what? Then you just got to adjust your training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I'm cool with it.
And then I guess the other thing that Koki didn't officially say that there'd be a Bantamweight Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he said if there is one, I guess they're trying to work out the logistics here, that it'd be a 16-man tournament because just the depth at 135 pounds there. So I'm game with that. I think everyone just wants to see them actually officially announce that for 2022, our next Grand Prix is Bantamweight.
Yeah. I've been harping on my manager trying to get info on this, and he says they're working on it. So I think they're doing it, and I think they're doing it next year. And yeah, he said 16-man, which is cool, and I could see him. I could see why, just because looking at the roster, there is a lot of depth there. You could do a 16-man tournament easily. So yeah, man, that excites me. That's awesome.
I think it would just be like this light heavyweight Grand Prix has been the best Grand Prix Bellator's done so far, but the Bantamweight one would just blow it out of the water with the talent level they have, the style of fights you can make. I mean, and if you're talking about now and with, all depending how COVID is in Japan, with bringing fighters back across the globe like that, like you could add some of those fighters into that tournament as well to make it that much more exciting. Or, sending some fighters over to Japan, which, I mean, that's got to excite you. I mean, you got to now try to angle to find your way to Japan for a Rising card representing Bellator.
Yeah, man, that would be a dream come true. Like we talked about, always wanted to fight in Japan. That's a bucket list thing. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
I don't know. There's some pretty big announcements, and it's nice to see kind of Bellator have a game plan going to close out this year and a vision for next year. So it's nice to see that with Bellator, because I thought they ended 2020 kind of like, it's like nice that they're back doing shows, but you weren't super excited for Bellator. Now there's at least a reason for stuff to get amped up, especially this weekend with, it's the return of Fedor in Russia.
Yeah, man. This was another card that I was like trying to get on, but I've been there before, father before. It's such a cool place, and to see, in my mind, the greatest heavyweight ever. Back in the cage again, and on I think his second last fight, I believe. He's doing his retirement tour. If I got that right, but he's the legend, man, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm surprised on the opponent, to be honest, because Tim Johnson is not a very well known. He's not your household name in the game, but he is a very tough match. He's a big man, hits hard. Can take a shot. That's a tough match for Fedor, and I thought they would get somebody else that's kind of on the tail end of their career that has a bigger name, just for the Fedor matchup sake, maybe like a Barnett or a JDS or somebody like that.
I thought so too, but I can see the mindset of Bellator where because Fedor's chin is not what it once was when he was, the last emperor for sure, in Pride and or the early start of his, his time in Affliction or early time in Strikeforce. So I think if you want someone that's going to knock out Fedor potentially, because these are heavyweights that can happen in Russia. You want someone that's signed under your contract, other than Josh Barnett, maybe just a one and done thing, even though he did technically, I believe, sign with Bellator before the pandemic, or a JDS who I think I would like to see, and I think he has a lot of potential and success options there in Bellator. Though he seems to be loving life up doing stuff with AEW right now. I mean, he's having a blast doing that with his American top team. But I'm fine with Johnson, and I think we looked at a couple years ago. Fedor fought Fabio Maldonado, and that was actually like one of the most intense back and forth fights that was really close. And if the fight hadn't happened in Russia, I think Maldonado would have got the nod.
Right.
But I think this could be a fun style of a fight. I don't expect it to go long, but I expect it to be a good time.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm definitely. I agree with that for sure. It could be one of those Maldonado type fights, or it could just be a quick one.
Yeah, I mean, there's also an up and coming heavyweight there in Sayeda Swama against Vitali Minikov, which I mean that's a name we haven't heard in forever. Vitali Minikov.
Vitali, I got to party with this guy after when I fought there in Russia.
Oh wow!
Yeah, super nice guy. Enormous man. I remember getting a picture with him and like dwarfed my hand with it was like this, just a giant. But yeah, super cool dude, and yeah, it's been on the cage for a long time. So it's good to see him back.
Former Bellator heavyweight champion too, at the point in time in the early days of Bellator, where if you were a Russian heavyweight, you were holding that strap in Bellator.
Yeah. Hello, where'd you go? Technical difficulties.
I clicked the wrong button by accident. I apologize. I clicked the wrong button. So obviously Vitali Minikov back. Usman Nurmagomedov. I mean, this card's obviously stacked up with Russians. That makes tons of sense. And a very early and live event that you get to watch there. So it's like a noon start on Saturday. So tons of great. Just kick off a pretty jam-packed weekend of MMA on Saturday.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Sweet to watch. And it's noon, the main card or prelims?
Main card is 3, but the prelims start at noon.
Perfect. Yeah.
I mean, and here in Canada, you don't have to worry about it. It's all free it's on YouTube, which has really worked out, I think, for
that's
Bellator.
Awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah,
it's not a negative thing, but like if I'm watching it, I gotta like hook my laptop up to my HDMI to my TV if I want to sit in like a living room watch it. But it's no big deal. But yeah, I love how they're doing that, man. So everybody can get it no matter where you are.
Yeah, it's especially for markets that don't have TV deals, and I'm sure Bellator would love to have a deal up here in Canada, but for right now, I'm totally fine with Bellator being on a YouTube platform. So we can all enjoy it. You can easily rewatch it and catch up where, if you had to step out or something like that, it's simple, easy, accessible, on demand for the fight fan. And as we transition to the UFC card, which was on Saturday as well, this one was another one of those where there wasn't a lot of meat on the card, but when there was some good stuff, it was some really impressive stuff on this card. And the main event was Norma Dumont taking on Aspen Ladd. Aspen Ladd obviously had a weight issue at 135 the previous weekend, so she moves up 10 pounds and takes on Norma Dumont. I mean, the fight wasn't the greatest, but the biggest thing coming out of the fight is how Aspen Ladd's coach was talking to her. And people were like, oh, she's being so negative with her. But, I mean, obviously, to me, that's a way to try to motivate your fighter. And I think that coach would know the best way possible.
So I tuned in the Bellator. I didn't really watch the UFC this past, so I didn't really get to see it, but I did see a bunch of people talking about that. What did he say to her?
First of all, he's being pretty much honest with her, but he was like, you're down 3 rounds. What are you doing? Like, I think it's part of just how society is being a little too overcritical and being maybe a little
soft.
No, I wouldn't say soft. I think she was being hard. Okay. Yeah. So I thought he was doing whatever he could to motivate her.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need a coach that's just going to be that blunt and brutally honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you can speak to this. You've coached your amateurs and guys like that where you probably got to be blunt with them sometimes and say things they don't want to hear.
100%, 100%. And yeah, anybody that's saying is going against that and saying he's being too mean and too negative, then leave your emotions at the door here. We're stating facts and what we have to do here. So yeah, I didn't get to see it all, but from what you're saying, I'm all for that. Tell your fighter exactly what's going on, and your fighter too, right? So it's like if I said like, what the fuck you doing? Let's go. Like get your head in the game. That might be enough to wake them up and start making some changes or whatnot. And yeah, honesty and being blunt is very important.
Yeah, and I would rather have a coach be that blunt and brutally honest with me. I mean, this is just me talking. Than we're doing great. When we can clearly see, when you can clearly see we're not doing great. We're down 2-3 rounds. And I'm kind of broken, and you just telling me we're doing good is not really going to motivate me to get out there. If you're honest with me, and maybe the coach felt, prove me wrong and go out there and do something or what have you. Nonetheless, like if you're a coach who knows how to coach their fighter, as you said, and I think you got to be blunt. You got to be honest. Yeah. I mean, look at Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas willed Michael Moorer in boxing to a heavyweight championship with his coaching being super blunt and maybe a little over aggressive.
Yeah, man, 100%. You have to be, because a lot of times in fighters' minds, when things aren't going their way, they'll start looking for ways out. And it's so easy to find ways out. And you got to like kind of just bring their focus back into check, and I've had fighters, winning the fight up 2 rounds going in the third, and they're so tired. They're like, I'm done. And I'm just like, fuck you, you're done. You know what I mean? Like, you're not done. Look at him over there. You beat the shit out of him. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to just, like you said, be blunt and be very brash and no filter and tell them how it is and get their mindset back to where it needs to be to finish the fight.
I just can't believe this. I mean, maybe it's just because there wasn't much depth on this card, but this is like the biggest talking point is how a coach was talking to their fighter. Like, I've thought I've even heard worse this year. Like Valerie Laredo in Bellator, their coach was like, your jiu-jitsu is awful right now. Like literally said that to her because she was getting manhandled in her last fight in Bellator, and no one made a big deal about that.
No, maybe I don't know. Maybe you're right. It's just like the card wasn't like a spectacular card, so they're nitpicking at shit they got, whatever's there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found weird. Like, this is our big talking point of. I think, if anything, we should, like, sure, the fight may have been not great, but I thought Norma Dumont looked, really good, controlled everything.
It's odd that I've never heard of that Norma Dumont.
There's a lot of fighters out there, Josh, and I mean, obviously, you got to do your own thing, but
no, but like for a main event, though,
Well, yeah, I understand. I think a lot of people felt the same way, but I mean, it was supposed to be Holly Holm, but
it was supposed to be Holly.
Holm was supposed to be in there, so that's why Ladd moved up the 10 pounds from bantamweight to featherweight, which apparently we're getting a little bit of a resurgence of this women's 145, which I thought it was done and seemed done, but I guess maybe UFC's doing
135.
I mean, and you know what? If you can't make 135. Move up to 145, and hopefully we get that weight class going again. And maybe UFC's just trying to, make it a little bit of appetizers. Some of these fights out there, you've got Holly Holm who still can compete in this weight class. Maybe they're just hoping out that they can get Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, but she's a 55er though, right?
She is, but I mean, she wants to be in the UFC. She's going to be a 145er. But I mean, there's still a lot of interest and potential on what happens because we know Kayla has a fight next week, which is her last fight on that PFL deal. So there's options, obviously, PFL, Bellator, and UFC that want her.
There's only one fight, I think, for Kayla Harrison, and that's Cyborg, because she's a training partner, a close friend with Nunes, so they're not going to fight. Yep. So I think the only 2 big fights is those 2, Cyborg and Nunes, and obviously she's not going to fight Nunes, so I think her and Cyborg is the big one.
Well, I know PFL, obviously, they signed Julia Budd. So
Right.
she's fighting on, I believe she has a fight on that finale, kind of in a non-tournament or whatever. But anything, she's going to be in the women's lightweight tournament next year. So, if anything, PFL is doing something to bring some talent over to give Kayla a bit of competition, depending how things work out. But
that's good.
Why not also bring back Sarah Kaufman? I don't understand why they didn't bring her back either.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Sarah's she's a vet, man, and game and durable and been around for a while, and yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't.
No, I don't know. Well, we shall see. I mean, that is also coming up next Wednesday, the PFL Championship. The other, I guess, talking point is how about Jim Miller still getting it done?
Yeah,
big knockout for Jim Miller. 13 seconds or 14 seconds into the second round over Eric Gonzalez, and Jim Miller, this guy that his goal is to fight on UFC 300, and he's definitely taken strides still towards that goal.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's good to see guys like that have been at it for so long, still competing and still winning. You know what I mean? And still looking good, man. That's awesome. It's just this game is you never stop learning, and if you continue to kind of roll with it, you will flourish until your body or mind tells you otherwise. Really, so that's good to see. I'm glad he got the nice win for him.
Yeah, he got a huge knockout and earned a bonus as well, snapping a 2-fight losing streak. So first win for Jim Miller since June of last year with the first round armbar he had against Roosevelt Roberts. Andre Orlovsky, another guy, still in the UFC, still getting wins at heavyweight.
How did he win? Decision?
Andre Orlovsky, yeah, he came away with a big decision win over Carlos Felipe.
Okay, nice. I didn't, like I said, I didn't get to see it, but love Andre, man. he's a guy that I remember downloading the highlights on my computer on WinMix.
Yeah, WinMix, baby.
Yeah, and he was like, one of the highlights where he was like fresh on the scene, just had the fang things, remember? And him and Tim Sylvia fight. So yeah, man, he's been around forever, and it's good to see that he's still loving it, still enjoying it, still winning. Just like a Jim Miller.
And taking some time away from AEW, much like his fellow ATT compatriots there, to focus on this Carlos Felipe fight and come out and get a win and prove he's still a tough guy and a tough guy to get through. That is the 32nd victory of Andre Orlovsky's mixed martial arts career.
Wow, 30. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, this card, as we said, didn't have a lot to talk about. Bruno Silva had a big come from behind victory against Andrew Sanchez, a guy that spent some time out before with TriStar, and Andrew's gas tank just went out on him in the third round, and Silva was able to come away, get a standing TKO. Nate Landwehr, who's a guy that spent a lot of time in Russia, got another big win in his UFC career after, having COVID and having opponents fall out this past year. So it was nice to see Landwehr get a win. And Lupita Godinez, who fought last weekend, moved up, the quickest turnaround for a woman in the UFC, 7 days.
Yeah, I did see this fight. I did see it.
Yeah, she lost a tough decision, but I thought it was close enough where she could have won.
Yeah, it was close. I probably agreed with it slightly, with the decision, but yeah, it could have went either way. It was very, very close fight, and yeah, I just 7-day turnaround, man. That's pretty cool. That's I've never done that. I would have liked to do that at one point if I could. I've had fights where you come out unscathed, so that's pretty cool to step up and do that right away.
Step up a weight class, and have a competitive fight. And I mean, it was one of those fights where you could see why there's weight classes and why she's so dominant wrestling wise at 115 as opposed to these taller, thicker girls at 125.
Right.
But she's getting herself in the good books of the UFC, willing to take a fight, staying ready, staying in shape, and making that quick turnaround.
Yeah, and making money.
Exactly. That's the big name of it. I don't know if you saw the Dana Bagtrell kind of crushing Brandon Davis in his return to the UFC.
I didn't see it, no.
Yeah, very great performance by him. Got it done in about 2 minutes in that fight, and felt bad for Brandon Davis, who's won like 4 or 5 in a row in the regional scene to get back to the UFC, and that's what you're met with, just getting kind of beaten up pretty quickly in 2 minutes by an up and coming bantamweight from Mongolia.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I just seen like somebody talking about it. But yeah, man, bantamweights, bro.
Toughest division out there in the sport. I mean, even last night for Fury FC, saw one of the guys that you fought in your Bellator debut at Fury FC 52 last night on Fight Pass. Vinicius Zani, yeah, he fought Teru. He fought to a draw. He fought guy you probably know as well, Teruto Ishihara.
My boy Teru,
yeah. They fought to a draw.
Yeah, I seen them match it up, and I was like, oh shit, that's a good fight. I trained with Teru, in room with Teru. So I thought Teru would be able to beat him on the feet because Teru's very he's hard to hit. He has good range control, but I seen it was to a draw there. So I know some people some people said that should have been Zani, and then some people said Teru. I don't know. I guess a draw was pretty accurate then.
I thought it actually should have been Teru.
Okay.
There was a point deduction that I must have missed, or they didn't make clear enough on the broadcast, because it should have been like a 29. I had a 29-27 for Teru, but I guess it's Texas also, so you never know how the judges are going to be. And they gave, I guess, 2 rounds. One judge gave the whole fight pretty much, I guess, then in a way to Zani. But I thought, what a pretty good matchup for a regional card in Fury FC in Ishihara and Zani. So unfortunately for Zani, he hasn't had a win in a while. But like I said, he's fought some real tough guys at 135.
Yeah, he fought fought me, and then he fought I think Keith Lee.
He fought Keith Lee after you. He lost his last fight in the LFA against Ricky Simone before you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's had a run of top talent, that's for sure, man. He doesn't shy away from good fights.
He also made his pro MMA debut against Patricio Pitbull.
Patricio, I remember that. Yeah, when I was going to fight him, I looked and I seen his first fight. He was Patricio. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, someone was not looking out for him at that point in time, but especially when Patricio at that point was 10-0 as a
10-0 versus 0-0.
Yeah, that's how it is, man. You look at some of those Contender Series cards, and you're like, wow, this prospect could be good. And then you look at his opponents; it's like 1-10, 2-12, and you're like, oh well, I know it's not going to go well for that fighter.
Yeah, I know, man. Like, you see so much of that happen, and sometimes the guys actually are very good, and they just fought shitty competition, but they do have the skill set to back it up. And then sometimes you see that they're not nearly as good as their record shows.
No, absolutely not. But and as well, who was also on that card? Johnny Campbell. He stepped up on last minute notice. Yeah, he fought. It was a fight I thought was for their bantamweight title, but I guess not because of the short notice situation. He did not win. He did get kind of manhandled on the ground by his opponent there in Levi Moles, unfortunately. So, but I was happy to see Campbell get a fight because he was supposed to fight on, I believe, a Cage Warriors, and then he was supposed to fight Danny Sabatello in Bellator before Sabatello got COVID. So now he gets the fight there. So a guy that's willing to fight and be durable.
Yeah, that sucks that he took the L, but hey, well, that's the game.
Yeah, it was a very good Fury FC card, and that's a promotion that's really just jumped up. But as we transition to the weekend, we've touched on the Bellator card, and obviously, I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that, especially with Fedor. And while this UFC card, once again, if you look at it, it's not a lot of names unless you're a hardcore or anything like that. But that main event, Paulo Costa, Marvin Vittori.
Yeah.
This is just going to be, I think, a wild fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this one's going to go. I seen somebody said that Paulo was an underdog on the betting line, so I'd throw some money down on that.
I would too, because I think Paulo's going to have to come out there and fight. Very motivated, especially after his last fight, which was the Izzy title fight, where he got kind of wiped
Well,
off the
both
floor.
guys are coming off last.
Yeah, from 2 different years, so it's just kind of funny in that sense. And Costa can fight for sure, but I mean the way he's kind of acted himself on the internet, saying I lost because I was drunk from wine, which is like the worst excuse I think we've ever heard. And then Marvin Vettori, I guess, coming out today saying that he controlled the fight. It just Izzy made it look like Izzy controlled the fight, which is one of the worst statements I've also heard as well.
Yeah. Well, as far as the drunk one, okay, then if you were drunk, that's on you, bro. That's your problem. You shouldn't have done that. That's why you lost. You're an idiot. If that's why you're actually lost, which we know it's not true, but that's on you as well. And then Marvin's excuse is, I don't think it was. You lost. You know what I mean? And you didn't do enough to win, and that's it. Take it, and go and learn from it. You get a big win here against Costa, you put yourself back in the title mix, right? So, just don't. I don't know, these guys with all their excuses. They just makes themselves look bad, but
Well, both of them have made themselves look really bad, especially if you have any hopes of getting back into the title contention. You can't be acting like you got to be honest with yourself, right? It's tough, especially losing in a situation like that, but you can't be out there with comments saying, he made it look like he controlled the fight, but we all saw the fight and he controlled the majority of that fight.
Yeah. You just, you put him against the cage, but you weren't really doing much with it. So yeah, it wasn't like it was like I'm trying to think of a fight where it was a clean robbery. We're like, holy shit, like you should have won that one. It was not like that.
No, not at all. We've had some bad decisions this year. Very few robberies. There's been some, but very few robberies this year. And that was definitely not one of them. But I mean, it's an important fight because this division's building itself back up. And I think the winner goes a step closer to getting another shot. But I think we all know that this Brunson Cannonier fight, the winner of that has to fight Adesanya next. Or whoever the champion may be, I should say.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah, because and neither of them have fought him yet, right?
No, they have not.
So they get some new blood in the title mix too, which I think was what they want. Right?
Well, sorry, Brunson has, but Brunson's been.
Has he?
Brunson fought Izzy back in 2018 on Madison Square Garden, and then a lot of people kind of started to write Brunson off, and they kind of started to repackage Brunson like he's, not even in main events on like the Ottawa shows, and then since then he's beaten like Elias Theodoro, obviously Kevin Holland, Shabazian, kind of guys they were trying to use Brunson to build some talent over, and Brunson's just proven why he's one of the more durable guys at middleweight.
Oh yeah, well, good for him, man. That's be able to kind of come back and rebuild and beat the guys that they're kind of building up and saying, nope, I'm still here.
Exactly. That if I'm going to lose the spot, I'm going to lose it on my own. But I'm definitely not a pushover or anything like that. But yeah, there's some there's some names on this card coming on Saturday, but not a lot that you need, that unless you're hardcore, you're going to really know. I mean, Grant Dawson, who's a good prospect to keep your eye on, taking on Rick Glenn.
Ricky. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Rick. Long time since we've said that name. Actually, he did get a win in the UFC back in June, but before that, his last fight was in November of 2018.
Yeah, so, Rick had a hip surgery.
Yeah,
I remember because he was at Alpha Male for a while, but he went back home. But yeah, that's I like pumped to see Rick fight.
Yeah, it'll be definitely a key one, and another early start time for UFC as well. I believe this card starts at around 1, so kind of going head-to-head game with Bellator on a Saturday afternoon. This
afternoon, yeah.
So it's crazy, and how winding down towards the end of the year with this and getting all these cards out there before a big 2 weekends in a row with UFC with pay-per-views.
Yeah, I guess that's why you're kind of getting these cards that are kind of not as marquee, so fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as we have a little bit of time left, I mean, there's been some fights being announced here for the Canadian promotions. Obviously, BTC, they're ramping up, and your guy Liam, he's making his pro debut finally. No more amateur stuff. It's straight to being a professional now.
Yeah, man, we were gonna get one more Amy just to get in the cage because it's been a bit, but dude, it's harder to get an amateur fight than a pro fight in this country.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just said, you know what, we're the time is now. He's trains with all the pros. His skill set's there. So let's just do it. We're not getting any younger. So yeah, man, I'm pumped for him. I think it's a good matchup too. A guy that he fought in the amateur circuit. He's fighting at 45, and the only reason for that is because of the fight itself. But he'll definitely be a 35er from here on out after this.
Yeah, he's taking on the gunslinger Calvin Krause, who they, as you said, did fight on the amateurs back in January of 2020, before the pandemic even was a thing in our lives and lockdowns and what have you. So, I mean, I think it'll be fun to see the growth of not only what Liam's been able to make from the amateurs to a pro, but same with Kelvin here.
Yeah. I mean, he's jumping up. So I'm sure he's made improvements, but so is Liam. So we're very confident going into it. And yeah, I think it's a great matchup, great debut for him.
And as well with this BTC card, the one thing I have to for sure say is shout out to Patrick, the graphics guy, because they're the coolest graphics I think I've seen for any regional promotion. It's definitely in Canada.
For sure, man. I love when he does that kind of shit. This one had like the 80s feel. Anything 80s I love. So I was digging that one. I had like that Miami Vice type feel.
Yeah, or like those like anime type movies or something like that. There's a good vibe to it with that synth music as well over top of all the graphics, which is clutch. And then I mean, FLA out east in New Brunswick had their first show back since the pandemic, their second show as a promotion. We know Unified's gearing up for a big show to close out their year in December. So I mean, as we say, Canadian MMA, it's really getting going again in all parts of this great country of ours.
Yeah, man, that's good because we've dealt with it hasn't been a thing for forever, and I know the guys out east. I was talking with them, and they had a hell of a time with all the COVID bullshit. They've had shows canceled.
This show was supposed to be in Nova Scotia, but Nova Scotia wouldn't let them have it. So thanks to the province of New Brunswick for letting them have the show.
Was it in Moncton?
Moncton, yeah.
Yeah, Moncton. We've been there a couple of times. Great fight spot. They love it up there, man. I talked to them about fights before, and they're just nightmare with all this shit. So I'm glad to see them back and up and running again. So the more, like we always say, the more promotions, the better for the fighters, the better for the fans.
Yeah, especially in this country, it's great to see more places for people to hone their craft and get just that experience that they need to try to get to the next level and make this passion a career.
Right. Absolutely, man.
So it's good to see that become a thing. And, MMA is booming all around the world here, whether it's in Canada or States, Japan, what have you. I mean, it's a crazy week too, as we said, this weekend. Obviously, you got Bellator in Russia. We got a UFC. We have Glory Kickboxing as well in the Netherlands, which was supposed to be Alistair Overeem's return there, but unfortunately he got hurt. He pulled out himself. He said he got hurt, tried to, saw the doctor, got better, and then went into training and it wasn't working for him. So
is somebody else fighting Rico?
Yes, there is a replacement. I'm not the biggest Glory guy, but I know of this show, obviously, who is the opponent again for Rico. Yeah, it's Jamal Ben Sadiq, so who was also on this card. But now he gets this, and Gokhan Saki returns, taking on James Mcsweeney, former Tough 10 alum.
Holy shit.
Yeah, who's apparently retired from MMA and is strictly focusing on kickboxing.
Cool. Cool, man. That's all right. Yeah, sweet. That's an old name.
Exactly. It's been a while since I've heard of James Mcsweeney, but has had the kickboxing experience in his time. And I mean, we as well, after all that is done, we have a KSW show with the return of Mariusz Pudzianowski, the biggest draw there
Is
that
he
they've
fighting
ever
all
had.
that? Oh, crazy.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's in the main event.
Who's he fighting?
He is fighting. He is fighting a huge Senegalian, known as Bombardier.
Bombardier, I don't know.
Who is 2-0 as a professional.
Okay. Some massive, enormous man.
A massive, enormous man taking on a massive, enormous man. So it's big, meaty men slapping meat in the main event there at KSW.
That sounded bad, man.
Hey, it's what Big E, the current WWE champion, has said.
Is
big meaty men slapping meat.
Nice.
So we have that, and then if you want to stay up late, we got Ryzen having there's another show for them this year before as they're continuing the road to gear up to their big New Year's Eve show.
Awesome, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, it seems like Japan they're running like regular now, man.
I think they've just been able to find a way. I know COVID was actually is still maybe bad there. I know they've a month ago got out of lockdown finally.
Yeah.
But they've been able to find ways to put on these shows with like limited capacity or have the events happen with if you had to have no fans would be a thing.
Yeah.
But good for Ryzen. They've been able to make it work and have like a lot of events this year.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's good to see. Like you talked about before, I'd love to do a cross promotion one out there. That'd be so cool.
I think I'd like it for you, especially just to get something on your bucket list. I mean, and I guess before we go, what's happening with you? You got any fight news, Josh?
I do. It's brewing. It's brewing. I can't say it yet, but soon enough.
Soon come, as they say in Japan.
I'll be back in the cage before the year's out. That's for sure.
Oh, that's exciting. And I'm assuming that's what you wanted.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a bit. I'm dealing with injuries and whatnot, but I wanted to get in there before the year's out.
Well, hopefully we can have that announced out here soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the posts, and I know you got something. That's good to see that you got something brewing because, as you said, you wanted that before the year's out, and this would be fight 3 or 2 for you this year.
Only 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah. So that's I didn't want one fight yet. That sucks. At least 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
3, maybe even 4, depending on the year. Right.
Well, there's always 2022 as we're gearing up for that, and it seems like we've really hit the light at the end of the tunnel of negativity with COVID and everything like that, and like normalcy is really a thing almost.
Well, I'm trying to stay positive. I don't know if I would call it that. Maybe I don't like this term at all. I fucking hate it. The new normal. Drives me insane. But yeah, there's been some good things. There's also been some shady shit with it. But I'm hoping that we're, like we always say, going in that direction and continuing to.
I think we're. This is the most optimistic I've been.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So I think we're at a real good spot right now in Canada at least. So it's exciting. You've got some fight news.
Yeah.
You've got the sports booming. So as we wind this down, obviously, where can people follow you out there on the gram to not only see potential teases of what this fight could be before you can announce it, or where can we find some great memes, because obviously we're approaching Halloween, and I know that is one of your favorite events of the year.
Oh, it is. It's a close second behind Christmas. Got the house decorated all nice. My brother, he's even, he goes crazier than I do. His house is decked out. Like, there's people that come all over from the town to look at his house because it's all the decorations.
Oh, it's one of those houses.
It's one of those, yeah. It's one of those, and yeah, he does it up good, man. I do it up decent, but not to his credentials. But yeah, man, you can follow me at Gentleman J Hill. And yeah, you'll find me there. I gotta get going on the funny memes. I've been slacking on it lately, to be honest.
Well, you know what? You've been under the weather, so not a lot's been interesting to you to be funny. or
Yeah.
anything like that. You've been trying to get not only yourself, but you and the kiddos back being healthy. And, so you've had a little reason to have a break there, obviously.
Right.
So
Back at it soon.
back at it, back with some more, great memes, great movie clips. Maybe you'll throw some lists back up again, like at the start of the pandemic.
I know. I know. Like I do like doing that. I'm a geek like that. I like lists. But yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll start doing some shit.
For sure. I think people would like it. Gotta keep the viewers engaged, Josh.
Yeah. There's a couple guys I follow on YouTube that I really enjoy listening to all their breakdowns and their rankings and all that kind of shit. So I'm into that stuff, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we'll get your own unofficial rankings on certain things and on other things, like maybe your top 10 Halloween candies.
Halloween candies.
Yeah.
I would say number one's got to be Reese.
It's up there. It's in the top 5 for me, for
top
sure.
Top 5, yeah. Yeah, I would say Reese for sure. Kit Kat.
Kit Kat's good, yeah.
Cookies and cream Hershey.
Oh, that's the best one for Hershey.
Yeah, is that number
that's
one?
The best. No, not number one. I love the
Mars
Mars box. Whether you get the little Mars bars, the Twixes.
Mars. Okay, nice.
Yeah, those are classic.
Twix.
I like. I mean, if the surprising candies you like, I liked the Rockets. I don't mind Rockets.
You like the Rockets? Yeah.
I like Rockets. I
loved them as a kid. I don't not as much anymore. I still would eat them, but like more so like I like the Swedish berries.
Swedish berries are very good. The worst on Halloween was the people that would give you like raisins or like, hey, here's a pop. Like, I don't have candy. But here's a pop. I was like, what? I don't want the best moment I ever had was, I guess someone was out of candy and he was like, here's a big bag of chips. So that was a win.
Yeah, that's not right. Nice. Yeah, pops. I'd be like, I remember getting those in like my pillow sack and it would weigh it down. You have to try and carry it around, and yeah, that's not good. The best is there was a certain part of the town that was like the rich area, and we'd go there and they'd give out full size candy bars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are the nice people that
the rich one.
You definitely want to hit up and be nice to, and not egg their house or anything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's around the corner. What are your kids going to be for Halloween before I let you go?
My stepson is going to be Ghostface from Scream.
Okay.
So I'm proud of that.
Simple costume,
which is easy, and he loves Scream. You've seen them all. And then my daughter is being an avocado. Yeah, she's seen an avocado costume, and she said, "I want to be an avocado." So that's what she's being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delicious thing that you can eat with your breakfast or your dinner or your lunch. So very nutritious, a very interesting costume. But
interesting, right? Yeah, I gotta get something though. I haven't. Last year was kind of like I didn't do anything, but I usually always do. So I'm kind of bummed about it. But I gotta be something, man.
Why don't you be Johnny Cage?
Johnny Cage, that's good. Except like when I go outside, it's freezing, and he has no shirt on, and it's like.
You're tough.
If I put a shirt on, nobody really know who you are. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, well, there's that. There's that for sure. I don't think people know the struggle of Halloween in Canada, where you better hope it's not snowing, where you got to have your costume with the snowsuit underneath it.
Right? Yeah. Or kids got their costume under their coat, so they can't even tell. Like, what's the fun in that? I used to like wear like sweater after sweater, and then put my costume over it just to make sure people still saw it.
Yeah. So I mean, you still have some time, Josh. You have a little less than 15 days, but
I guess
the 18th today. You got some time, and I know stores are definitely not sold out of every costume.
No, I'll put something together for sure.
Yeah, she and the wife should go as Homer Simpson and Marge Simpson.
We went not last year, the year before. We were at Wayne and Garth.
That's one I've wanted to do because it's the simplest thing ever.
Black shirt. It was like we got the wigs, which was easy, and then we just went to like Valley Village and found like the clothes, and it was like $10, and that was it.
Yeah, exactly. It's genius costume. I mean, the best costume I ever did was I did 2 1 year. I was a Mountie,
Oh, that's nice.
But I pretty much just made it like the Mountie, the wrestler.
Yeah.
And then I went as Macho Man Randy Savage one year.
Macho Man's classic. Yeah, my brother did Macho Man, and he did Ric Flair the one time. Always good. My probably my ultimate one, my prize possession of a costume was when I was an Oompa Loompa.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we like decked it out like really good. We came second in the Halloween costume contest.
Nice. Well, somehow, what won? I guess.
The 4 guys dressed up as Kiss beat us.
Well, if they had the makeup down, yeah,
it was pretty good. It was pretty good, but I thought we should have got it. But
yeah, at least you didn't lose to someone like dressed up as Urkel or anything.
Like
that'd have been.
And they put effort into it, so it was okay. It wasn't a robbery.
No, it was definitely not a robbery. Well, Josh, I mean, obviously, it's great to get back talking with you. Feel better. Get over this little sinus thing you got going on, and we'll be back next week to chat all things happening in mixed martial arts and maybe an update if Josh has found a costume for Halloween in a couple weeks.
Right.
All right. So with that, that's the gentleman Josh Hill. I'm Jason Hagholm. Peace out. See you next week.